Again, it's Priscilla Batzell in Spring Hill, Florida at Expressionist Art Studio Gallery in the backyard. Remembering to set the timer. That is a very popular, much seen painting. I call it a wreath. It's on a 12 by 16 inch canvas. I have many times made starbursts or orbs or what have you, thinking I was going to do one of these. Now, nobody seems to be able to do it, and I haven't tried to repeat it absolutely and succeeded myself either. So after a couple of years later, it's time to do it again. I have all kinds of tools. I'm going to try and put this someplace it won't get any schmutz on it. I've got a modified basting brush with all the bristles removed except for one row and then each one in between, and that will drag paint. The skewer, I believe I used the first time. I didn't. It's been a while since I watched that, but not that long. The diagonals should drag lines out. That should work fine. And I have homemade scoops. That's like from the inside of a milk jug, and then you just score it. You could cut the back and fold it up and use a piece of clear duct tape or any kind of duct tape. I have clear. I like clear. This is packaging. I think it came off batteries or something. I just noticed that it was the right shape and size and cut it out so that I have a little scoop. I'm using this because I want a shallow scoop. What I usually use to scoop is a shovel, but this is wider than I want, and I have other small scoops, but they are deeper than I want. I'm thinking to just put some colors right into my iPod case, and I have alternative choices. That's the lid to a chicken salad container. That probably came with eraser tips from the dollar store that I used to use on my bottles. By the way, I left one of my pans, I left 20 bottles of paint out for 3 days in 90-degree heat overnight, and not one of them plugged up and not one of them had a cap on it. And they all seem to be perfectly fine. So I don't know what usefulness that information will be to anybody, but I think it might be very useful to someone to not panic about paint. Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit of white down in the bottom because I don't want those colors to be so strong that I can't pick them up. And I want the paint I put down to be held in place. So I'm going to try and vary my colors. I'm going to try and pick bottles that are open. That is a neon purple from Folk Art. It's a multi-surface acrylic. I've often purchased it at Walmart. You can find it at Michael's and online. This is a Venetian blue that's iridescent from Modern Masters. This is a color shifting Folk Art that's green gold. This is a turquoise color shift from Folk Art. This is a purple, I don't remember, but I add golden iridescent pearl fine to it, a big squirt of that. Usually fixes me right up. I want some orange, because there was orange in the original. I don't know how this is going to work. Like I said, it's been a long time since I did it. I'm going to use some of this new Deco Art Americana Emerald Green Metallic, because I like the way that looks. And I have a paler color purple over here. Like I said, I have no idea how this is going to work. I'm going to leave those handy. I'm actually going to put more of my favorite color in there. You know what? That's not going to be useful to me unless I clean the tip out. So pardon me while I take a moment. And I've got a big, these are what gets in the threads of the paint bottles. Pull them out whenever you can, because the dried chunks get in the tips. And then your paint doesn't come out. So if I, have too much purple, it's par for the course with me. So I'm going to move this aside. Whoops. That was almost a whoops. I'm going to take my other containers out of the way. I'm going to bring over my 16 by 20 inch canvas, not a 12 by 16 because Michael's has been out of them recently. And I am going to put a heavy layer of shaken paint all the way around. Because I think that was the trick the first time. I think the heavy layer of paint made a big difference. I'm not going to worry about my center now. I'm not even sure I used squeeze bottles back then. On my Amazon link, you will find the OXO omelet turning spatula, which is the best paint spreading tool around. Glasses are on my head. Let's put them on my eyes. And I am just going to move as much of that paint out toward the outside as I can, and I may smooth it into a more level ring, but I'm getting the coverage that I wanted. My white paint is a combination of Artist Loft and semi-gloss latex from Walmart, just the basic stuff. And then my paint pouring recipe, my additives, the old recipe is under the video, under the description. I have been replacing the Deco Art pouring medium I was using with GAC 800 because I found out that the deal I was getting at Hobby Lobby was not a deal. The sale price is still more than GAC 800. If you can afford to buy the GAC 800 by the gallon, you are better off. It's fully $10 cheaper by the gallon than the Deco Art pouring medium. Focused, yes. Okay, let's make sure I have paint all the way to my edges everywhere. I'm not going to be tipping this. The GAC 800 by Golden is good for more than one reason, and the best reason, outside of the fact that it's less expensive, which is a pretty good reason, is that it prevents cracking in heavy paint. Now, I hate wasting paint, and I really want to spend a minute putting that paint back on my canvas, but I'm going to scrape my spatula off and get rid of it. And it's the here goes nothing moment. I'm not going to put these directly next to each other because if I want to fill a color in between, then I can do that. That's what my squeeze bottles are for. That does not belong. Okay, whatever you are, go away. This is probably going to look pretty cool before we ever do anything with it. And I'm just picking that up right out of my pan. I think the orange might go in between, because there was some orange just enough for the first one to make it kind of interesting. So the reason I'm doing the little scoop is so I can have puddles of paint. And the squeeze bottles made perfect puddles of paint. And I need puddles of paint so I can drag the paint out through the wet paint. I might put some blue in too. I've used it's almost the appropriate amount of paint, which is pretty cool. Good guess, Priscilla. I guess experience comes in handy. So I'm thinking, where can I put it? I can put my residuals right in between. Drip, doesn't matter. And I'm going to turn over my little chicken salad, potato salad lid and let it drain on my Lolafy silicone mat. I'm going to let my shovel drain the same way because I can use that later. Let's put a little bit more orange. I didn't use any of that magenta. Oh, and I pulled that right out, so I wanted some. So let's put some of that in there. And I want some more of that blue, although the blue sinks, so that's probably a bad choice. Let me grab some other blue. That's a cobalt blue that I probably also added iridescent pearl medium from fine from Golden into. Alright, so it's a here goes nothing moment. Let's try the basting brush first. I'm going to keep wiping that off, so I'm going to pull my studio rag forward until it gets in the way. We'll put it over there. I'm going to keep wiping that white off because I don't want it in there yet. That is just a cotton rag that I keep folded up in my dish. And I'm thinking I'm going to put a line of white paint around the center and then pull those colors into it. So far, so good. I'm going to go all the way around. I might have to rinse off my basting brush. It may not be as important as I think it is, but it's picking up a lot of paint, so I'm attempting a controlled experiment. I didn't use any gold, and I'd like to do this again sometime with gold. I am going to use the other tools, because as far as I'm concerned, this is just a start. Just go around and pick up paint in the places that you don't see it from the first time. And keep wiping off your basting brush, which are available in the kitchen section, as well as my kitchen section of Walmart, as well as on my Amazon link, I believe. I had a brain cramp, so I'm not positive. Now I'm liking those tendrils going all the way out, so I'm just going to make sure that that's where they're going. As much as I like that green, I want some blue over there. Okay, so that's a good start, I think. I'm really tempted to just keep going. And this time I'm going to leave the paint in my basting brush, because that will add white back in between the colors. And I was afraid that it was going to just make it mucky at first. If it makes it pastel, so be it. Seems to be working. Go every other one and go back in between to fill in the weird marks. That's one way of doing it. You could probably figure out all kinds of ways to do this. I will get some cells after a while, just because white and anything will usually make cells. Almost all the way around. I had to plan this out in advance because I was afraid my paint was going to dry. I don't have as much a curve as I did on the first one, but I have a pretty similar effect. Now I'm thinking it might be nice to just attempt to round my circle out a little bit, and maybe even these hair dyeing tools are on my Amazon link. There's a whole package of like 6 for like less than $10. So I think they're a really good deal. That I want to go away. Is that a pretty good circle? It's kind of a lopsided circle. But I'm going to try and fix it. That's looking better. Maybe a little more right here. Chances are that paint will still want to flow back again. Okay, so now I'm going to take, what am I going to do in my center? I'm going to do the white in the center. What the heck? I might even blow it out with a straw. Let's see how smooth I can get that, because I don't want this to be as heavy. The first time I did this, I did it afterwards, and I got cracks. But I was still using glue, Elmer's glue, and water back then, and I don't use either one of those things anymore. But the GAC 800 is a great solution. Now if I get it a nice heavy layer soon enough, hopefully that orange isn't going to stain anything. Love my Princeton Art Tool Catalyst spatulas. This is a number 5. There's 7 of them. The first 6 are useful. I have not figured out, and I keep saying this over and over again, a usefulness for the 7th one. So even if you have marks from the spatula in your paint, as long as you can't see the paint through the background, I think you're safe. Now I'm going to take a chance now and do what I did the last time. I want that to touch. I thought I was going to try and avoid it. But I'm just nudging. I'm just letting the paint that's ahead of the spatula create a little bead, and then just fill in there. Now I'm going to take my round tip number 5, and I'm going to keep wiping it off. And if I want paint or any other colors in there, I can do that. I'm not looking for perfection, but I am looking for a similar effect. So far so good, I have to say, I think. I'll tell you once we find out if my circle maintained its integrity. Because I think that's the test. And it's not bad. It's not quite as pale as the first one. I got 2 minutes to tell you guys I do sell my artwork, and if I want to continue on like the first one and add more swish, I'm going to use my hair tool, and I'm going to add that curve that I had in the first one. Now that we're nearly done. So thank you for sharing my videos. I really appreciate that. Thank you for watching my videos longer. I really appreciate that too. That helps the YouTube algorithm. Thank you for shopping my Amazon link. Only not too many people have done it lately because I guess it's harder to find it under the Linktree link, which is under the video where all my links are. And I'd love it if you guys would shop there again, because I'm not getting paid this month. Unless you make $100, you don't get paid. No money for me. So that is pretty much that. I don't know how similar it looks. I could definitely drag a whole lot more colors out. Let's do that while I'm here. I'm putting a lot more pressure on the basting brush. Almost to the ferrule. So I have more of a chance of mixing and creating that similar effect. Whoop, that was a little more than I wanted. It's okay, it will give more of that effect. It's a very pastel effect. I love you guys. There's 88,000 and counting, climbing. Subscribe. You can always look for expressionist, you can always look for Phoenix Rising Priscilla Batzell art to see if there are any videos left. I got 2 minutes left. I kind of want something around the center. Even though it wasn't there in the other one. Very cautiously applied. And I might be making mistakes since they're not very evenly distributed. And they're very bright. Guys, take care of each other. Take care of yourselves. There's over 1,400 videos that you can watch if you're interested. And look for them on my playlist.